Good morning. Welcome to my YouTube channel, the channel for Metro Learning Solutions. I'm Nancy Pym, and I'm the owner-operator of Metro Learning Solutions. Metro Learning Solutions is a supplemental educational center located in the Des Moines, Iowa metropolitan area. In this morning's episode of Why Wednesday, I want to answer this question. Is brain training the same as tutoring? Now, when I talk about tutoring, I'm talking about any kind of intervention, whether it's a school intervention, a parent intervention, or even formal tutoring. Many people confuse these two different approaches, probably because the end users are the same, which is a struggling student, anybody who's struggling with learning. A common misconception is that Metro Learning Solutions is tutoring. So I wanted to take a minute to compare and contrast the two. Tutoring is something that should be done when just one aspect of learning is difficult. For example, if you have a student that is struggling in a higher achieving class, like maybe their last year of foreign language, or an accelerated math or an accelerated science course, something that is academically more rigorous than the normal academics. That might be a great time to hire a tutor, and that tutor will probably be sufficient to help them learn the material. By comparison, cognitive development or brain training, which is what Metro Solutions delivers, is not tutoring. We don't reteach material, which is what a school intervention or a tutor does. Cognitive development is completely different. It actually changes the way the brain processes information. The research branch of my parent company, LearningRx, has many MRIs that actually show the way brain training structurally changes how the brain is functioning. Even more exciting is that there are independent researchers that have also verified this occurrence. So we know what's happening. We know we're making a change in a small structural portion of the brain. We use quick-to-administer, game-like activities that are scientifically proven to make the slight changes in the brain necessary to process and handle incoming information more efficiently. What this means for the student is that at the end of their program, they have the skills necessary to handle academics. Therefore, they're able to learn faster, easier, and better. Let me take a moment to compare brain training with tutoring. And again, I've created a visual for this. So you'll notice that I like bullet points, so I've put many in bullet points here. Tutoring might be what you need if, in the case of an extended illness, maybe your child has missed a lot of school because of illness. That would be a great time to hire a tutor to fill the gap. Conversely, maybe they've had a year where they've had a teacher with a prolonged illness, and they've had a series of substitutes. Academics and learning can suffer under those circumstances, and a tutor might be just what you need. Perhaps you've moved to a more academically rigorous school district. Again, tutoring can fill that gap. Or perhaps you have a child that's been doing just fine, and all of a sudden they have difficulty learning very complicated material, which is what I talked about before, a higher math or a higher science, or maybe a college level class that's giving them difficulty. A tutor might be just what they need. And I've kind of highlighted the parts here that I think are most important. And it says, if you can identify outside circumstances that have interfered with the delivery of information for your child, hiring someone to re-deliver that information makes a lot of sense, and I would give it a try. Brain training by comparison, and here are the things I want to talk about for brain training. If you have a child that has received tutoring in subjects month after month or several years and continues to struggle, that's kind of a red flag. Maybe you have a child that struggles with multiple classes in school. Reading is difficult. Spelling is abysmal. They have difficulty getting their thoughts down on paper or written responses. They're struggling in several different areas. That's a red flag that maybe cognitive testing is in order. Maybe they struggle with reading comprehension. There are several factors that go into reading comprehension, and there will be a YouTube video about this in the future. Maybe they need to work harder or longer than others to be successful and get good grades. Maybe they have trouble learning what their peers are learning, especially in the lower grades. That's a red flag. You want intervention to be as early as possible. So you don't want to wait several years to see if it works out. If they're having difficulty in kindergarten learning what their peers are learning, or first grade learning what their peers are learning, that's a red flag. Get a quick cognitive test and see if that's something that could help. These are the cognitive skills that need to be strong for learning to take place. Attention, auditory processing, which is the skills that the brain uses to analyze, blend, and segment sounds, and there's a very clear correlation between a developed auditory processing ability and the act of reading. They need to be strong in logic, memory, both short and long term, and processing speed. So these are all the things that the learner needs to have as their foundation, but schools don't teach that or develop that. So if those are weak, students will struggle with learning. So in conclusion, tutoring and brain training are two totally different approaches to a learning intervention. There is a time and place for each. Hopefully this episode gave you a better understanding of the circumstances that each one addresses so that you can make a better decision on which one might be best for your student. Thanks for joining me today, and check back next week for Why Wednesday.